Good morning, everybody. I'm Lindsay Reiser in for Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're happy you are here. Developing right now on Morning News Now, parts of the South are picking up the pieces from a rare June storm system slamming several states with heavy rain, damaging hail, and even tornadoes. And the threat is not over yet. We will show you the damage already done, plus where that storm is heading next. Also this morning, Indicted, a Marine veteran now facing charges for the controversial chokehold death of a black man on a New York subway. What sources are telling NBC News about the decision by a New York grand jury and how the case is reigniting a debate about crime, race, and mental health. Hikes on hold this morning, some financial relief for Americans. The Federal Reserve announced it won't raise interest rates for the first time in more than a year.
Price stability is the responsibility of the Federal Reserve. Without price stability, the economy doesn't work for anyone.
But that pause may not last very long. More on this latest move, when rates could go up again, and what it all means for your wallet. And the show must go on. This morning, a group of Indiana high schoolers are getting national attention after putting on a controversial play, even after it was canceled by the school. We'll talk to some of those students about their production, plus what school officials had to say. Got some of the main characters in that story right here this morning.
They raised a bunch of money, and so I'm really interested to hear what they have to say about why it still had to go on.
Exactly, and why it was canceled in the first place. We'll dig into all that. We begin, though, this morning with severe weather hitting parts of the southeast and Gulf.
The National Weather Service says there were 9 reports of tornadoes in Alabama, Georgia, and Texas yesterday, including the one you see here appearing to touch down in South Georgia. Alabama's Henry County also hit hard with storms leaving behind debris, downed trees in their wake. Thousands in the state are still without power this morning. One person describes the moment when that storm hit.
The trailer started wobbling real bad, so we all just had to hunker down and try to just ride it out. That's the only thing we know to do.
Harrowing there. Hail also causing problems in states like Mississippi, with even baseball-sized hail hitting the town of Brooksville. And Texas also dealing with severe weather, triple-digit temperatures. They're expected to stick around through the weekend. The city of Houston already deploying its emergency heat plan.
With more on how these severe storms could impact your area, let's get a check on your morning News Now weather forecast right away.
Meteorologist Michelle Grossman joins us now. Michelle, a lot going on.
A lot going on. Hi there, guys. It's going to be another tough day for many. We're looking at the chance for severe weather. We had severe storms, as you showed, move through yesterday. And this is the 5th day of severe weather. We're going to see that once again tomorrow. So we're sort of stuck on repeat, and we're going to continue to see this pattern. So looking at radar right now, we've been tracking storms in portions of Alabama, also Mississippi. So the southeast, once again, we'll see those strong storms. Could see the chance of some flash flooding as well. We could see up to 5 inches of rain in some spots. And then the central and southern high plains could see severe weather once again. We could really see some gusty winds gusting over 80 miles per hour. And we had giant hail yesterday in spots, up to 5 inches in some spots. I don't know if you saw some of the pictures, but really large hail that caused some damage. So we're worried about that once again. Rounds of storms, that is the theme throughout this Thursday. We have a very slow moving front. It's moving through some really warm air, some humid air. We're going to talk about the heat as well. And that's triggering these storms. So we're looking at the chance for severe storms, strong storms, and also heavy rainfall, those summer-like downpours that we see. And then as we go throughout tomorrow, not much relief. It's moving slowly still, so we're going to see storms from Oklahoma to Florida, really gusty winds. Hail will be smaller tomorrow, and some heavy rainfall. Let's talk about the chance for that severe weather, mainly in portions of the central and southern plains into the southeast. Where you see that dark red, that's a moderate risk. That's pretty high. That's telling us that it's likely that we're going to see some strong storms. 19 million Americans at risk, with winds gusting up to 80 miles per hour. So no doubt we'll see power outages once again. We'll see trees coming down, limbs coming down. We'll see the chance for some large hail once again, and a few tornadoes are likely. So Bill Cairns is going to be with us all afternoon. He's going to track it for us. That's one big weather story. Also watching the chance for some flash flooding. That's in parts of Mississippi, Alabama, into Georgia. And that's because we're going to see multiple rounds of storms dropping very heavy rain. And we could see up to 5 inches of rain in some spots spots, especially where you see those brighter colors, the dark reds along the coast, the Gulf Coast, some oranges, some yellows. That's where we're going to see the heaviest downpours throughout the Gulf Coast, the southeast, into portions of the plains. Flash flooding, this is really dangerous when you're out and about, especially when you're driving. The darker blue showing us that that is the greater risk. So Montgomery, Alabama, into Albany, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, you could see the chance of some flash flooding as well. That's our major weather story for the day. We have another big weather story. That's the heat wave that's going on, and dangerous heat in portions of Texas, western Texas, southern Texas, into parts of Louisiana. So heat alerts, 28 million people affected by heat alerts this morning from Texas through Louisiana. We're going to see heat, the temperature soaring in the triple digits. It's going to feel more like 110 to 120 once you factor in that humidity. So those air conditioners are going to be cranking. Hopefully, you have the opportunity to have that air conditioning, because otherwise we're looking at some really dangerous heat. Corpus Christi, we could feel like 115. That's what it feels like to your body. Houston, it's going to feel like 111. A few records could be possible as well. Here's when it gets more dangerous. We're not going to get the relief over the next several days. So hot today, it was hot yesterday. And look towards the Father's Day weekend. Houston, 101 on Saturday, 101 on Sunday. San Antonio, we're looking at 103 on Sunday. So guys, we're going to continue to watch these storms. We're going to continue to watch this dangerous heat, because it looks like over the next several days, no relief is in sight.
Oof, my gosh, that feels like 115. I know yesterday you said you're used to some bad heat, but
this is next level. Though.
All right, Michelle, thank you. Good to see you.
This morning, there is a sliver of good news for American consumers who have been struggling with high inflation.
Yeah, for the first time in more than a year, the Federal Reserve announced that it will not raise interest rates. But Chairman Jerome Powell said that pause might not last too long.
Looking ahead, nearly all committee participants view it as likely that some further rate increases will be appropriate this year to bring inflation down to 2% over time.
Investopedia editor-in-chief Caleb Silver joins us now, of course, on this. Hey, Caleb, good to see you. So we know that it looks like from this projection that we got there, a little dot plot, I think it's called, that they are going to that's the eyebrow raise, that they are going to likely raise again. So why pause now? Why take this pause and then need to still continue raising and not just be done with them?
Right. The Fed wants to see the lag effect of all those interest rate hikes from the past year. Remember, interest rates were near zero coming out of the pandemic. They're right now between 5 and 5.25%. Those rates take time to play their way through the economy. You feel it already in the mortgage market, where mortgage rates have doubled, in the auto loan market, where those rates have doubled. But other parts of the economy, it takes a little while for the rate hikes to pass through. So they wanted to see where we are right now with the current rate hikes, then possibly raise interest rates twice before the end of the year.
What is the thinking behind announcing that? I mean, is it essentially see how the markets react, sort of test the waters?
A little bit, but it's also to forecast and give people a heads up that this is what's going to happen. And that means higher rates for longer. And as consumers and households, we should expect that. I mentioned those 30-year mortgage rates, now close to 6.5%, a little bit higher. New car loans very high. Credit card APRs up around 24%. So borrowing costs are going to remain high. The Fed wants to kind of project and be transparent about that so there's no surprises. And there is also a chance that if the Fed sees inflation moving down meaningfully over the next few months, maybe they won't raise rates anymore. But if you look at that dot plot, the most boring yet the most important chart in economics right now, that shows the Fed funds rate, that interest rate, around 4.5 to 4.75% by the end of next year. So higher rates for quite a long time.
Definitely. So, Caleb, what does this tell you about how the Fed thinks we're doing right now? Because we had this high inflation. We were worried about a recession. Do you need a recession to kind of counteract what we're seeing? What does those potential rate hikes tell you the Fed wants to do to the economy and thinking about where we're at right now?
It wants to keep slowing it, particularly in the labor market. The labor market has been exceptionally strong for the past year and a half. We keep adding hundreds of thousands of jobs every month, and there's a lot of jobs available, and wages keep rising. While that's good for workers and good for households, that puts pressure on businesses, and then what do? They raise their prices, then pass them down to consumers who spend less. So the Fed doesn't want to cool consumer spending. It wants to cool hiring, and it wants to cool wage inflation and overall inflation. The rest of inflation is cooling. Wages are not.
I have so many questions, but I know we have to wrap up really quickly. But so what are the conditions they want to see? I mean, do they want to see a higher unemployment rate? And when we talk about they want to see, a control over that wage inflation, if things are still just as expensive, the average worker wants to see their wage going up.
Yeah, that's the tightrope. That's the balance here. The Fed doesn't want to cause a recession, but it wants that unemployment rate a little higher than 4%, 4.5%, and it wants to see overall inflation down near 2%. It's right now around 4%. We were talking about it the other day. They want it near 2%. It's taking a long time to get down there, but it was 9% back in July of last year. So it's moving down, just super slow.
It is confusing to piece it all together, because to hear they want more people to be unemployed is tough. All right, Caleb Silver, thank you very much. As always, we appreciate it.
U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland is speaking out for the first time since the indictment and arraignment of former President Trump. While Garland did not answer questions regarding the federal charges Trump is facing, he did defend special counsel Jack Smith, who Garland appointed to lead the investigation. NBC's Garrett Hake has the latest.
Attorney General Merrick Garland defending special counsel Jack Smith, the prosecutor Garland appointed who brought the 37-count federal indictment against former President Trump.
When I appointed Mr. Smith, I did so because it underscores the Justice Department's commitment to both independence and accountability.
The AG responding to Mr. Trump's growing drumbeat of accusations, including at a rally with supporters, Mr. Trump arguing he's only being charged because he's the Republican frontrunner against President Biden.
Today we witnessed the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country. Never before have the two standards of justice in our country been more starkly revealed.
A source close to former President Trump describing the mood around him and his senior staff as calm and upbeat, and satisfied they successfully stage managed the unprecedented arraignment. Another source, who's not part of the legal team, telling NBC News Mr. Trump knows he's entering a period of long and uncertain legal battles, and that his defense will likely focus in part on his belief that he was allowed to keep the documents.
Whatever documents a president decides to take with him, he has the right to do so.
But the special counsel alleging Mr. Trump illegally held on to classified documents and then obstructed investigators when they tried to retrieve them, saying they found boxes, some of which contained classified documents, in Mar-a-Lago storage rooms, a ballroom, and a bathroom. At the arraignment, Mr. Trump pleading not guilty. And while the Republican frontrunner is energizing supporters, including at that pre-planned pep rally at a Miami Cuban restaurant following his court appearance, Mr. Trump facing new criticism from his former running mate turned rival. Mike Pence saying he believes politics played a role in the charges, but also saying this.
I cannot defend what is alleged. The very prospect that what is alleged here took place, creating an opportunity where highly sensitive classified material could have fallen into the wrong hands, even inadvertently, that jeopardizes our national security.
The question of a possible pardon for Mr. Trump has become something of a litmus test on the right, with Nikki Haley saying she would lean in favor of granting one, Mike Pence saying that it's too soon to make that determination. It's just one more example of what a source close to Trump describes as the way in which he continues to soak up all of the available oxygen in this race.
All right, Garrett, thank you.
Well, now a New York grand jury has indicted a man in connection with the death of a subway rider that was caught on video. You might have seen it. That's according to two sources familiar with the matter.
Daniel Penny was indicted on second-degree manslaughter in the chokehold death of Jordan Neely. And the incident happened last month inside a Manhattan subway car. NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas joins us now for this. Danny, good morning. Thanks for being here. His attorneys, they released a statement. They said he did nothing wrong. They said there has been no finding of wrongdoing. What does the Manhattan DA have to prove in this case, and how will that cell phone footage come into play?
It's going to be key. It's going to be everything. But I should add that in addition to that cell phone footage, there is undoubtedly probably other cell phone footage, but undoubtedly other witness accounts. It's a crowded subway car. What we've heard through news reports is only a smattering of what will be in discovery and ultimately admitted into evidence. So the government, the state of New York has to prove that Penny acted recklessly with a conscious disregard that his actions could lead to serious bodily injury or death. But we have in the law an affirmative action, which basically you say, OK, all those facts are true, but here are additional facts that exonerate me. And it's self-defense or defense of others. Self-defense has always included my right to defend other people in addition to myself, as long as I reasonably perceive an actual threat to my safety or someone else's safety.
So we actually do have some new video. Penny's lawyers released video of him talking, filmed by them, not part of any public record. But first, I want to play some of that and then ask you about the strategy here.
This was a scary situation, and Mr. Neely came on. He was threatening. I'm 6'2", and he was taller than me. I was scared for myself, but I looked around. I saw women and children. He was yelling in their faces, saying these threats. I couldn't just sit still.
So kind of unusual to see him coming out kind of explaining the whole thing before we're even getting to any type of trial. What do you make of that strategy? Why would his lawyers release a video like that?
Sure. The normal strategy is if your client has anything wrong with his or her case, in your opinion as a lawyer, you never, ever, ever let them talk to the media. But I would say there are exceptions to that rule. And one of those is if you as an attorney believe that your client's story needs to get out there and you have no fear that as long as you properly prepare him, and I saw some cues in there that he had his magic words he had to get in during the interview. You notice he pauses for just a second before he says the word threat. I promise you, they took him in a room in a shed and beat him with a wet noodle until he said threat, 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 threat over and over again until he knew that he had to say those words threat, because they know it's not enough for him to just say he was yelling and he was shouting. You notice that right after he says yelling and shouting, he adds the word threat. So if you prepare your client, get them to understand the magic words that need to come out of their mouths, then maybe there are circumstances where a video like this is a good idea. And Daniel Penny, you know, frankly, I can see making the same choice as a defense attorney. Put Daniel Penny on video, get him out there, get his story out there, and it may end up helping your case. Because, look, the reality is, even though we normally don't talk to the press, the state gets the first word. They release an indictment. They have press conferences. They stand at the podium. They point to all the fine men and women of the NYPD who assisted in this investigation. And the defense never gets their story out until their case. So not necessarily a bad idea what they did.
Get out ahead of it. Okay. I also want to ask you before you go about this case involving Bill Cosby, because there are now 9 women suing him in the state of Nevada. They're accusing him of sexual assault. Cosby has denied any wrongdoing in the allegations against him. His spokesperson says the women suing are being motivated by media attention and greed. What can you tell us about this, and also the Nevada law that's essentially allowing them to come forward?
So this Bill Cosby case has really been a seminal case for a number of different things, and one of those is challenging the idea about statutes of limitations in sexual assault cases. Traditionally, the only crime, not civil case, but the only crime that has no statute of limitations is murder. And the idea being that if you kill someone, you should look over your shoulder for the rest of your days, because the wicked man fleeth when none pursue, I think is the saying. Wow. So you have to always wonder as a murderer if you're going to be charged. But in the last decade or so, the trend has been to expand that, not just in sexual assault criminal cases, but sexual assault civil cases. And most recently in New York, they did exactly that. And I have some of these cases, these Child Victims Act cases. And here's the challenge. Yes, it is a good idea to open up these windows, but once you file your lawsuit, you have a new, fresh challenge, which is finding evidence, finding witnesses. It's the reason statute of limitations exist, is that evidence fades, witnesses die, the information disappears. And at some point, it becomes really, really difficult to bring these cases, even if you're allowed to bring them.
Wicked man fleeth if none pursue. That's the quote.
Yeah, I can't tell you where it's from. It could have been from. It could have been from anything. I don't know.
All right.
You always learn something when you're here.
We're gonna have to Google that.
Certainly do. Thanks. All right, we're learning new details this morning about the plane involved in the crash that killed a mother, leaving her 4 children stranded in the Amazon jungle. The story that's just totally captivated us. NBC News correspondent Kelly Kobaya has more on why the seating arrangement within the plane may have played a major role in the children surviving the crash.
It's been called a miracle. 4 siblings between the ages of 1 and 13 found alive after 40 days alone in the Amazon jungle, surviving a plane crash that killed their mother and 2 others. I always had faith, their father said. A preliminary report issued by Colombian authorities and obtained by NBC News says the single-engine Cessna they were in was airworthy. But it says the pilot radioed a mayday twice because of engine trouble, 35 minutes into the flight, and again 26 minutes later, calling, "Mayday, mayday, mayday, the engine is failing again, going to look for a river." The report, written before the children were found, says the aircraft crashed nose first into the jungle floor. These photos showing where investigators believe the children were sitting, in the back, avoiding the worst of the impact. But the report says they only presumed the youngest sibling, now 1 year old, may have been seated with her mother. The family says their mother died at the scene 4 days later. That report also noting the Cessna was involved in an earlier crash in 2021 due to loss of engine power, but was repaired and in the air again this past March. Incredibly, rescuers say the children had no serious injuries from the plane crash. The siblings are still hospitalized and slowly getting stronger. Kelly Kobiella, NBC News.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.